Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Brick by Brick podcast. My name is Brad Critchfield, and I am not your host for today's podcast. In fact, today your host will be Amie Stewart. Amie is a school board member for the Bellflower Unified School District, and she was our previous guest. Now, how this works is she was the previous guest, and now she's going to be the host, and she selects the guest. And we're going to take this little experiment and see how it goes. So let's get this show on the road.
Hi, I'm Amie Stewart, and I'm here on the Brick by Brick podcast. As you know, I was the last interviewee, and so today I get to be the host, and I am interviewing Keith Miller, who is one of our Bellflower High School football coaches. Hello.
Hi, Amie. Thank you so much for having me here on the show.
Absolutely. So one of the reasons I wanted you here was just I met you about a year ago, and I just really love the positive energy. I love the culture and everything that you're bringing. First off, just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So my name is Keith Miller, and as you previously stated, I am one of the coaches at Bellflower High School. I'm the associate head coach. I'm the defensive coordinator, the special teams coach, and the strength and conditioning coach. But I'm also a teacher at the school. I teach physical education from 7th grade all the way to 9th grade, and I'm very, very proud of that because I love my students. And I love the impact I'm having, not only in their school life, but in their personal lives. So that's something I'm very, very proud of. But I grew up here locally in Los Angeles area in the South Bay. I went to Lusinger High School for 3 years. I was an all-state football player of the year. As a junior, I transferred my senior year to Sarah High School to go play with my closest friend. And that ended up kind of being a change in my life, kind of I don't want to say an organic pivot, but it was just a kind of a tipping point. I got hurt my senior year pretty significantly. Didn't take care of my schoolwork like I was supposed to. Ended up losing a bunch of scholarship offers. So I had to go to junior college route. Went to junior college route my first year. I had to get major shoulder surgery, which was a 9-month rehab, which was really, really tough. And came back my sophomore year, was an all-league or all-conference player. And then just so happened is I wasn't getting much interest from colleges, but one day I was at home and I got a call from one of my coaches. He said a coach from Alabama State saw my tape and he wanted to pull me on a recruiting trip. So I went on a recruiting trip and ended up signing there. Alabama State is a HBCU. It's a place where I grew. I became a man. Was an all-conference player, honorable mention player there. And then kind of injuries took me out. And then I came back home to Los Angeles, began coaching.
Nice. What position did you play?
Oh, wow. A myriad of positions. But I would say that my focal point was at linebacker. Because I was always very, very smart. Was always very, very tough. Understood angles. Could anticipate plays. Anticipate which players were going to get the ball and when. And kind of beat them to the spot. So being a linebacker was something I really, really enjoyed, kind of being a leader of the defense. And then offensively, when I was in high school, I played running back. Loved to get the ball, run for yards, run people over, run past people, score touchdowns, winning touchdowns.
Right.
But yeah, so it was a lot of fun. Playing ball was a lot of fun. You get yourself beat up a little bit, but tough guys, we don't mind that too much until we become 43 and our back starts aching right before we record a podcast.
Right, I understand that. I'm a little bit older than you, but I totally understand that. Well, we are so excited that you are here. Last year, I brag a lot about their season last year. You guys won the league championship. You went to the CIF finals. One thing that was very impressive with me is that there were 0 ineligible kids, and you had a 3.2 GPA. So I think what I love is that you're doing things, amazing things on and off the field. Tell us a little bit about last season. Just tell us about last season.
Yeah, sure. And so glad you asked about the off the field things. Well, on the field last season, we knew we were going to be pretty good. We inherited a group of seniors who had a lackluster kind of high school football career, but we knew that were talented, and we just had to get them to buy into doing things the right way versus the way they think they should do things. And once they did that, we kind of took off. We went 11-3. We lost in the CIF finals, didn't play well that game. We walked into that game limping with a lot of guys out. But ultimately, we didn't play well. We didn't deserve the championship, and we lost to Walnut, who was a deserving champion. But it was definitely a learning lesson for myself, for our coaching staff, our players, our program. But it was nonetheless, it was a really good season. We should have been 14-0, ended up 11-3. But league champions, first CIF championship game in Bellflower's 71-year history.
Right.
But more importantly than that, the no ineligibilities and the 3.2 team GPA is really a hallmark of our success.
Absolutely.
Because as we took the job, and I said we meaning my older brother's our head coach, I'm the associate head coach, but when we took the job, we heard about the issues of ineligibilities every year at Bellflower.
Right.
Like that had become a staple of their program. Every summer or every fall, guys were being taken off the team from being ineligible. And we had faced these types of issues before at previous stops my brother and I have. And so we already had a plan in place to help our kids achieve success and also really build some confidence in the classroom is what we like to call it.
Right.
And so we implemented that program, our study hall program. We gave them a lot of support in that program with our team managers, the coaches there. We're guys with master's degrees, so we can assist in terms of helping our players out with schoolwork and homework and, just how to structure things, how to study the right way. And so we did that. And it was very effective. Once again, something we're very proud of. Definitely feel like that'll be a staple of our program as we move forward throughout the course of our time at Bellflower, which we hope is a very long time.
We do too. And I think it's really important. And not only that, but just making the connections with the kids, checking in with them, making sure that they're okay. I think connections are super important. And I think you guys do a really good job of that with your players.
There's no question. There's an old saying, players don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Right.
We spent a lot of really valuable time talking to our players about things off the field. What's going on in their home life?
Right.
What activities are they involved of outside of school? We'll go visit them at their birthday parties, at Thanksgiving, at Christmas. We were at a couple of players' houses, on Thanksgiving last year. That was the day before the CIF championship game.
Right.
We spent time at our players' houses, hanging out with them and their families. Right, so I think that just speaks to the type of investment we make into our players off the field, because we want them to know we care about them as people more than we do as football players.
Absolutely. And when you make that investment and you care, people will work harder for you. I have an amazing principal at my site that I work at right now. We'll do anything for her because she's so, she treats us like professionals. She gives us that time. So those connections in those buildings, it's just so important. What do you think about this year? I'm really excited. I'm new on the school board, kind of new, so I didn't get to go to a lot of games last year, but I am going to go to every game this year, so I'm really excited. What do you think for this year coming up?
Wow. Very, very excited for this year coming up. A few guys have transferred in because they heard about the success at Bellflower. They've heard about the effectiveness of our coaching staff and our connections with recruiting to the next level. And so we've had a few, I would say a handful of impact transfers come in, and they are shaping up to be very, very good football players, very good people off the field. So they've really immersed themselves into the culture that we've built in Bellflower. We're going to be very good on offense. We have a veteran team on offense. I think 4 out of the 6 offensive linemen from last year are returning. Our quarterback is returning.
Nice.
So we have pieces that are in place on offense, and now you add a couple of transfer kids who are impactful, and you have an explosive offense that's kind of ready to roll and hit the ground running. But conversely, defense is a place that we're going to have to grow and grow quickly. We only have 2 returning starters on that side, a lot of young guys, a lot of guys who haven't played varsity football or much varsity football at all, playing on that side of the ball. So it's going to take some time for them to learn, get some experience, grow, and develop. But, that's my job as the defensive coordinator, to help them develop quickly and just make sure that, they're where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be there, and that they're finishing plays and doing a great job for their teammates. So it'll be a challenge. We have a much more challenging schedule this year. We open up with Garden Grove this upcoming Friday, the 11th, at Ron Yeri Stadium. Can't wait for that. It's the home opener. Garden Grove is a good team. They're a formidable opponent. And I think it's going to be a good game. I've sat and watched film on them all morning. We understand what they want to do on both sides of the ball and special teams. We have effective plans in place to combat what they're trying to do. And just can't wait to play the game of chess and get after it Friday night.
And it's August 18th, right? Not the 11th?
Is it 18th? Yes.
I think it's the 18th.
I'm sorry. You're right.
I'm stuck on the 25th because the 25th,
right.
we finally get to play Mayfair.
Yes.
But, okay, so the 18th is Garden Grove.
Yes.
And then we have Mayfair the next week.
Yes, 18th Garden Grove. And then the big rivalry game where we'll be sitting on the visitor side at Ron Yeri. I haven't had that experience yet, so that'll be interesting, but I'm looking forward to it. The game against Mayfair, I hear in the community is huge. And I'm hearing 10,000 fans are going to be there. Hopefully, they'll be wearing maroon and gold.
Yes.
And I look forward to a lot of screaming Bucks.
Yes,
right,
absolutely.
rooting on
I
our
know
team.
I'm bringing the alumni crew in. I have a bunch of people coming in, and we're so excited to support. One thing that's different, when I went to school, it was the Suburban League, and it was just those teams. Now we have a split in the leagues, and when I first started, I didn't totally understand that. Can you just kind of explain a little bit of how that works, the two separate leagues, and how then you integrate that?
Sure. When you have a big number of teams or schools in a league, they might split the league into divisions, right? And so that's what happened in our league. So when we first arrived at Bellflower, which was in 2022, Bellflower was a downtrodden program. They were in the lower half of the league with Norwalk, with Fireball, with Gar, with, whomever else. And then the upper division was Warren, Downey, Dominguez, et cetera, et cetera. Well, after last year's season, everybody knows now Bellflower was on the rise. They were talking about moving us up to the upper division. But since we lost 14-12 to Norwalk last year in a toughly battled competition, we lost to them. They beat us 14-12. So they got the opportunity to move up division to play in that kind of Warren, Downey, Dominguez, which is a more prestigious division of the league. But Norwalk has to go now compete there. We're still down at the bottom half, but we're the top of the bottom half. And there's a great chance, almost a guarantee, that we're going to be moving up to the upper division next year. And we're excited about that because we want to compete against the best. And so that time's coming, and we look forward to the challenge.
So Mayfair and Bellflower are in different leagues.
Yes.
But this is just basically going to be like a preseason game that you guys are playing.
Yeah, this is a non-league game.
Okay.
But a rivalry game, much like, Marshall, West Virginia at the college level, right? Much like Notre Dame, USC. Notre Dame is an independent. USC was in the Pac-12 or is in the Pac-12. Will be in the Big Ten coming up here shortly. But they're rivalries, right? It's a rivalry. And no matter if they're in the same league or not, that's a cross-country rivalry. Here, it's across the street rivalry, basically, between Mayfair and Bellflower. And we're looking forward to it. We hear the chirping going on. We hear the noise on the sideline. Our guys are hungry.
That's awesome. I'm so excited about it. Just randomly, what are your teams? What college teams do you like? What pro teams do you like?
Oh, wow. I always answer this question pretty much the same. I really don't have teams that I like.
Okay.
I've coached, trained, scouted, worked with, have relationships with so many players that I don't really like teams. I just root for my guys.
Right.
If that makes sense.
No, it does, because everyone asks me this, and I say sometimes I'm a Rams fan. My uncle played for the Rams. My grandmother was married to Jack Snow, so my uncle by marriage, Jack Snow, he played at Notre Dame. He played for the Rams. So I grew up watching the Rams because my parents would go to all the games. But I'm a Rams fan, but I play fantasy football, so I like my players. So I'm always watching my players just to see how they're doing and what they're doing. So I kind of have the same thing. I'm not a huge fan of the Rams. I am, but so I understand that completely.
No, that came into play today, actually. The Panthers were playing their first preseason game. Bryce Young, who was the number 1 overall pick out of Alabama, via Mater Dei High School. He's their starting quarterback, and I really wanted to see his first drive. I've known Bryce since 8th grade. I know his family, his dad, Craig, his mom, Julie, and really wanted to stay and watch it, but I made a commitment to come and do the podcast, so I'm here.
Yes.
And I left Bryce at home, but I did put it on DVR and recording it. I can't wait to get back and watch it, but I just root for my guys. Kayvon Thibodeau is a kid I'm also close with. He was the Giants' number 1 pick last year. CJ Stroud is a kid that I've known, for over quite a few years. He was the number 2 overall pick this year for the Houston Texans. So, I've scouted for the last, 9 years. So I know these guys from camps, from combines, from whatever, or I know them because they're here from Southern California. I've either scouted them or coached against them or whatever the case may be. They were on my podcast when I had one.
Right.
I've got a lot of really, really cool relationships. And so I really just check to see what those guys are doing. And I get excited for them and their families.
Absolutely. So speaking of relationships, I always love talking to you and your brother. How is it working with your brother? I'm an only child, so I can't really understand this concept. Wow. But how you guys work so well together, but I'm sure there's that sibling,
Well, you know what? It's funny because we've been around each other for 43 years. And yesterday he said, "Would you stop completing my sentences?"
Right.
And so we know each other pretty well. We know how to get each other under each other's skin. We know what drives one another. But you know what? Outside of my own self, he's just one of the people that I trust to do a really good job in coaching the kids and developing players the right way.
Right. And I think, not just the success on the field, but like the success on the field, the classroom, everything. We talked in our last podcast about just school culture and how much sports, I'm a total sports person. So I love sports. I think they just have so many positives. Yeah. Culture is something that can really be focused around sports and around football because you have so many different people coming to the games, not just the players. How important is school culture to you? I know we talk about it a lot.
Listen, school culture is everything. Right? It's everything. And just to kind of give you a small synopsis, last year when we took over Bellflower, there was energy around the school about these new coaches who were really dynamic, that could really change the program. And then once school started, people saw all those things come to fruition. And it was an exciting football season. People on campus were excited. But then once the championship game happened and football season was over, you saw this culture of the school kind of relax, come down from that high. And then we had a really rough basketball season. And then you saw it really, really come down. And it felt like it went back into old Bellflower, which, it didn't sit well with me. I'm sure it didn't sit well with Mr. Longren, our principal. We ended up getting a new basketball coach this year. But I do want to say that, we had just had our first couple of days of school, and the energy is back up.
Right.
Kids are excited to be there. People are smiling. People are looking forward to coming to games. They're looking forward to cheering on their teams. So the energy's back up. The culture is getting to where we want it to be. And I think a big part of that is Ashley Lucchese, which is our Dean of Climate and Culture. Right. She does an unbelievable job of really rallying troops and really spreading positivity around campus, helping people level up to the kind of mediocre or the mediocrity that they've been kind of wallowing in the past.
Right.
And it's something that, I'm totally on board with. I try to help out as much as I can. And, it's getting there. I'll tell you that. It's definitely getting there. Love the energy these last couple of days or the first couple of days of school. And I just know it's going to be a great football season. I think we're going to be pretty good in basketball too coming up here. And so we're going to just ride that energy wave all the way out through the end of the school year. Right. That's where Bellflower needs to be.
Yeah, from a district point of view, I love the fact that they added that position, the Dean of Climate and Culture. She does so much, just checking in. I mean, her beautiful murals that she's planning this year. So that position is really important. What do you think we could do more, or what positive things could we do to try to improve school culture?
Sure. I mean, school for me, at least, when I was in school, right, I was in school for the girls in the game, right? I wanted to play ball. I don't want to chase the girls. But what makes school fun? What makes it a place, a safe space for kids where kids want to be, where they want to come to? Everybody loves music.
Right.
No matter who you are, everybody loves music. And so I pulled Miss Lucchese to the side just the other day. And I said, Ashley, we need to have music every opportunity we can when they walk in the morning.
Right.
At snack time. At lunchtime, even when they're leaving to go home, because music makes people feel good. It makes you upbeat.
Absolutely.
Right? Food also brings people together. We need to find different instances where we can incorporate different cultures of food, different types of potlucks. Those things are more important than pretty much anything else that's going on campus. Because if you don't feel good, if you're not enjoying it, you're not going to be there every day.
Right.
You're not going to give your best effort, and you're not going to look forward to it. At that point, it becomes a job, and nobody just wants a job.
Right.
Right?
We
So-
talked about that, not just following your dreams, but following your interests, which will lead to following your dreams, because you have to be happy. You have to be enjoying
Sure.
what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I agree. I really liked the Rescue Generation because I think anytime we can bring music, arts, things like that into our schools, it just gives people different outlets and things that they like doing. Like I can't draw at all, but I love to draw. So at some of our, professional development, they have us drawing or they have us doing things, and I really enjoy doing it, even though I'm not good at it. It's fun, So I think bringing those things into school climate and culture are very important. So I'm really excited about that. Talk to us a little bit about mental health with your sports and your athletes.
Sure. Well, first off, my wife is a mental health specialist, right? Dr. Chantel Miller here in Cerritos. And so mental health is something near and dear to my heart. And when you talk about mental health with our athletes and students at school, that's something that's at the forefront of our minds. Anytime we get an indication that a student is not well mentally, we try to give them opportunities not only to express themselves, but opportunities to take breaks.
Right.
And really remove themselves from, class, competition, whatever it is that's providing that anxiety. We try to allow them to remove themselves from that and take time to really gather their thoughts, gather their feelings, and find people to talk to where they can express how they feel, what they're feeling, and how to best address it.
Right.
Mental health is very, very important. And I know that if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of others. So it's very important that I take care of my mental health. That way I can continue to pour into my students, pour into my athletes, so I can help take care of them.
Right. And I think that's an important thing to think about, is not just the mental health of our students, but the mental health of our teachers
Yes.
and our staff and our
Absolutely.
CSEA workers. Because like you said, yes, you're doing it every day. You're there with the kids and you want to be able to have positive energy every day when you're going to work. How do you keep maintaining it?
How do I keep
I know
maintaining?
family is really important to you.
Yeah.
You're very, you have kids that are at our school.
Sure, yeah. The universe has given me everything that I've asked for. And so I'm very, very grateful. And I think being grateful is a way to maintain strong mental health,
Right.
because things could always be worse.
Right.
So just having that grateful mindset and having a growth mindset
Yes.
allows you to feel good about where you are, but also give you hope for the future and where you can be. So I think that's what kind of settles my mental health, but also doing the things that I love, right? I love being around young people. It helps keep me young.
Yes.
My 7th graders, my 9th graders, my 8th graders, I love being around them, teaching them, coaching them, because I love to see young people get it and grow.
Right.
Right. And then my athletes, right? Being around the game of football, which I grew up playing and watching, and now I'm coaching it. It just really gives me an opportunity to stay near and close to the game without all the bumps and bruises
Right.
of playing the game.
Right.
So doing the things that I love, teaching, coaching, interacting, engaging with young people. And like you mentioned earlier, my son is now in 7th grade. And I'm so excited to see him there.
Yes.
My daughter's now in 9th grade. She spent 8th grade at Bellflower Middle. Now she's in 9th grade, and she's doing everything from early college academy, to Bellflower High School varsity softball,
Right.
to honors classes and AP courses, and travel ball on the weekends, and also the Bellflower High School band. So
you're a busy father.
busy.
And I'm sure you and your wife are always running people from different sites, different places.
Busy. We need to find another word for busy. Okay. My son, he's probably the biggest 7th grader you'll see. He's about 6'2". He's very athletic. So he plays basketball. He plays baseball, travel basketball.
Right.
He's not playing football at the moment, but I think he will once he gets to high school. He also wants to run track. And so he's all over the place. And then I have a 7-year-old, Skylar. and he's about as talented as all two of them. He's as talented as anybody. He's only 7, and his birthday is tomorrow, by the way. So happy birthday, Skylar! Happy early birthday. But he's just a really talented kid, very funny. He's like the life of the party.
One thing I love is that your kids are playing multiple sports. I coached travel ball for a long time, and I had some parents that were like, I remember one time my daughter had a birthday party, and it was at an ice skating rink, and some of the parents wouldn't let the kids ice skate, and they were 10. They were 9 and 10 years old, and I'm a full believer in doing as many things as you can, playing as many sports, because it gives you different. I loved playing basketball, but softball was my sport, but playing volleyball, basketball, it gave me a break before I got to softball, and I like doing different things. So I think it's really important. And, you know, sometimes coaches don't allow people to play all the sports. And so I appreciate that your kids are playing multiple things so they can find what they like and find the interest that, you know, what they're good at.
Yeah, there's a study out right now that says, you know, multi-sport athletes are more apt to be successful in their singular sport if they've played multiple sports. You got to develop different muscles, different movement patterns, different areas of flexibility. For me, I grew up playing multiple sports. Just luckily for me, my kids are talented in a lot of things. But I think for the most part, develop their athleticism. Like the skill will come. Right? Develop the athleticism and develop the competitive spirit. Those are two things that if you lack on those two things, you might as well forget about it anyways.
Right. And then you have the strategy behind each sport. There's just different critical thinking that comes along, which also helps kids in the classroom.
Yeah, sure.
So I think, all the different sports that we were saying last time, just giving kids all these opportunities and experiences to do so many things, take all the things that you love, take them into life, and, you know, find what you want to do. So...
No, that's important. You know, I heard a quote the other day. It's not what you leave to them. It's what you leave in them. And, you know, hopefully I'm leaving into my kids, not just my biological kids, excuse me, not just my biological kids, but to every kid that I intersect, that I hopefully I'm leaving, you know, a sense of discipline, of accountability, of work ethic, and last but not least, productivity. Right. Nobody wants to hear your excuses. Right. All we want to do is see what you've produced.
Right.
So hopefully that's what I'm leaving in. I'm pouring into these kids, and I'm leaving into them. And I've got a bunch of different thank you notes and messages from my, you know, students from all shapes, colors, sizes, gender, sexual orientation, and I'm just really proud of the work that I'm doing and that I have been doing for the last 15 years.
What do you think we can do to support our schools and our athletes more?
I think we definitely need to upgrade the facilities.
Right.
Definitely need, our locker room is challenging.
Right.
Our weight room is very outdated.
Right.
So definitely think in the district. And I can really only speak on Bellflower because I haven't really been up to Mayfair to know what they are doing.
Right.
And I don't really care.
Yeah. We're winning. Just kidding. Go ahead.
But I think, you know, it's 2023, right? And everybody's facilities have gotten an upgrade over the past 71 years.
Right.
I think it's kind of time for us to get an upgrade. So I definitely think, like, how can we support them? You know, upgrade the facilities. I think maybe adding some coaching stipends. I'll be honest with you. I don't think the allotted coaching stipends are conducive to full player development, right? So if you have, you know, 7 different positions on a team, 4 on offense, 3 on defense, then you have special teams, right? There's 8, right? And then you have 2 different levels. Right, that should be 16 stipends right there, but I think we only get like 7. So I think we need more coaches. And you're an athlete, right? Yeah. You know the impact coaches can have, not just on you as a person, but you as a player.
Right.
Right. Right now, you know, I'm coaching. You know, I'm wearing a lot of hats. Let's just say that I'm wearing a lot of hats at Bellflower football.
Yes.
So I just think. Coaching stipends, facility upgrades. I think those things would probably be my forefront of how can we support the athletes a little bit more.
Right. And I think it is important because we were talking as school board members, people think we make a lot of money. Like, man, you make a lot of money. And we explain it's just like coaching. You know, you do a lot of work for not very much money, but I'm going through this with my own district that I teach in. Our stipends are 100% lower than Bellflower. They're 400% lower than Downey. And so just, you know, it's such a good program that you don't want to lose, you know, and you want, obviously there's budgets and things like that. We get that, but you want to make sure that you're respecting and you're valuing these people because this work is so important. It is so important for our kids. And I know, I agree with you. Hopefully we can make some positive changes, but yeah.
You make a good point, respecting and valuing people. I want to give a shout out to Dr. Drotti. I feel very respected and valued after that nice raise we've been given. Thank you, school board. We appreciate you. So we feel valued. At least I feel valued.
Right.
And you know, I can't speak for anyone else, but I'll just say that when you feel valued, you feel an obligation to go out there and give your very best, or at least I do, give my very best every single day.
Right.
Even when I wasn't feeling valued, I felt obligated to the kids to go out and give my very best every day.
Absolutely.
Because I'm in the service business. I'm servicing these young people.
Right.
Right. And I think that's what servant leadership looks like.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think Dr. Drotti's doing a great job. I do love that he was a football player and that he understands this. And I know sometimes, you know, that's one thing I've been explaining. It's a long process and things take a long time.
Yeah.
But I know that he values that. And so I appreciate that about him. We always talk a lot of football. So that's always nice, too, because I'm a sports person.
Yeah, and there's no doubt. Look, Dr. Drotti is cool. He's got his Drotti walk when he's walking around. All right, he's got that smile, that Drotti walk. So, no, he's a good guy. We have mutual friends that he's played with at Fresno State, and loved hearing about his story when he coached. And now that he is, you know, the district superintendent, I think he's doing a great job so far. I know everything's a process, and I think people just need to give him time and allow him to work. Give him time, allow him to work.
I feel like you have friends everywhere. I'm not lying. Anywhere I go, it's the Miller brothers. Oh, you know them? Yes, I do. I was bragging about you guys. I told you at UNLV, and my friend Hunky was like, I know them.
Yeah.
And I was like, I feel like you guys know everyone. And that, again, it speaks to the volume of the connections that you make with our community. You know, it speaks when kids come back and see their teachers, how much they appreciated that. So those connections, I think, are so important. So I love that about you guys. You guys are like super infamous.
Yeah, well, listen, the connections are important. Relationships are important.
Absolutely.
But you know what, Amy? You know, it's important to me that when somebody says, yeah, I know, but they don't say, you know, those are really crappy people.
Right.
Or those guys are cheaters. Or those guys don't know how to treat folks. Or, you know, those guys are ignorant. You don't hear people say bad things about myself or my brother.
Right. No.
You don't. The worst someone could say is, yeah, they kicked our butt really bad.
Yeah.
And they didn't have to kick our butt that bad.
Right.
Which we did.
And I think there's a line, you know, I coached a long time, and sometimes I can be very aggressive and not passive, aggressive, but like it's passion. It's not aggression, it's passion. And I think, you know, just when you set those high expectations for kids, I think they will achieve them. And you can be hard on kids, but a lot of people don't see to the other side of it, where you're nurturing, where you're connecting, where you're going to visit them. So I don't know. I think it's like a fine line where you can be hard on kids, but you can be positive with kids, and they respect that and they love that. And I think that's really a big thing with building those connections is they know you want them to do better. They know you have those expectations, and they want to perform and do those things for you.
You know, the best way I can sum that up is, you know, kids that we coached back in 2004, 2003, 2006, those kids still come around. They still call. They still hit the DM to check in.
Right.
They still come out. When the championship game, we had about 10 of our former players there who played for us, you know, almost 20 years ago. If that doesn't speak volumes, I don't know what does.
Right.
Right. And so, yeah, we have a saying, when you play for us, you're our family for life.
Absolutely. And that's something that we want to create here in Bellflower Unified is a family atmosphere. I felt like that when I was there, when I went to Bellflower, it was our family. And from hearing from the community, that's been lost in the past few years. So it's something that we want to build. That means that you have to stay with us for a long time too.
Well, hey, listen.
I'm always worried about you getting taken because you guys are so amazing.
Well, listen, that has been a theme our entire coaching career, teaching career, right? We have been hot commodities just because we always do a really good job wherever we go. That's just kind of what it is.
Right.
But I'll say this. I met a young girl named Melanie last year, and she was very, very athletic. She was in the 8th grade, very athletic. She's like the fastest girl in all of my classes. And I asked her, and she was really good at soccer. Asked her, Melly, you going to Bellflower High School next year? She said, no, Mr. Miller, I'm not going here. I'm going to Warren. I said, you're going to Warren? Why? My mom, and that's where I want to go. And so throughout the school year, I would make mention that, Bellflower can be great, but not if greatness keeps leaving Bellflower.
Right.
And, I would tease her every now and again, but this was a girl I was really close with. I was really close with Melanie, and I actually just saw her the other day, so it kind of takes away from my story. But at the end of the year, she wrote me a thank you letter. And she said, Mr. Miller, thank you so much for pushing us so hard. I know it wasn't easy dealing with us, but, thank you for keeping on us, teaching us about hard work. And the last thing she wrote me, she said, thank you for convincing me to stay here at Bellflower.
Right.
Because here is where I belong.
Nice.
And that just gave me goosebumps.
Right.
And, I thought that was such an awesome ending to the letter. But it was just such a thing because I've heard the horror stories of really talented kids leaving Bellflower Middle to go somewhere else.
Right.
And let me tell you, we fought like heck to keep our talented 8th graders. Fought like heck. Mm-hmm. Not only did we kick Mayfair's butt in middle school football, which we did, 27-14, but we fought like heck to keep our 8th graders. And Melanie in particular, she was so dynamic of an athlete. And so Bellflower, we want Bellflower kids coming to Bellflower.
Right. Staying
at Bellflower. And now we've got a 7th grade group that looks really impressive. We've got some real gems led by Austin Miller. But there are a few kids in that 7th grade group that look like they're going to be big time athletes. And also our 8th grade group too. We have a pair of twins who are going to be big time players. So we just can't allow them to leave. We got to build a fence around that Bellflower school. I know there's already a fence, but we got to build a imaginary fence that goes up to the sky and not let those kids go.
One thing we've talked about a lot, and I teach middle school, is how important the middle school program is in, helping to assist your athletes in becoming better. And there seems to be, I don't know in every district, but in our district, a little bit of a lack of, middle school sports focus. How important is that to get our middle school programs better?
Let me tell you, monumental.
Right.
Our middle school kids, they were clamoring for something all year last year. Mm-hmm. But they really had nothing until intramural games, I guess that's what they call them, started up. And that was late in the spring.
Right.
But so I got a chance, Bryce Christensen, our athletic director, he asked me, hey, do you want to coach the middle school? And I really didn't want to do it.
Right. But of course you do.
I'm already training the high school football team, getting ready for the summer and the fall. I've got my own set of kids who've got their own schedules. I really didn't want to do it.
Right.
But I said, okay, I'll do it. And he I'll leave that part out. Anyways, I'll do it. Okay. And so, I like to believe I gave those kids an experience that drew them back to Bellflower for high school.
Right.
Like I said, we worked hard in the weight room. We worked hard on the field. We whooped on Mayfair, which Bellflower Middle hadn't beat Mayfair in like a decade, from what I understand. And so those kids had an experience, I think, that propelled them into, hey, I'm going to go Bellflower High School now.
Right.
And a lot of those kids have returned. Not every one of them, but a lot of them. I'd say probably 95% of them have returned. The quarterback of that team is the quarterback of our freshman team now, a kid named Ozzie, and he's going to be a really good player. So I just middle school sports is imperative.
Right.
Those kids, they want a chance to be a part of something.
Mm-hmm.
They want to get a chance to learn, develop, and grow. They want to get a chance to compete in front of their peers with their peers from other schools.
Right.
We were anxiously awaiting calls back from other middle schools so we could play more middle school football games last year because my kids were ready. We kept practicing, and they were like, "Coach, let's go." And I'm thinking, "Geez, I'm tired." But they wanted to, get into it, and so we never got a call back. But just like to believe that experience really helped, corral those kids, keep them at Bellflower. Now we've got a pretty solid Frost Soft team that we're still developing, but there's some talent there, and that's what I'm excited about.
Right. So definitely want to expand on that middle school program, just to make it, so much better for them. Thinking along the lines of middle school and just new things, we have girls, the football. We have Powder Puff football. You did that last year as well, right?
Okay, so I did not do Powder Puff football, but I was instrumental in helping to bring girls flag
to
football. Bellflower.
Okay.
And this was my conversation with Mr. Christensen last year in 2022 spring. I said, listen, girls flag is coming. Get ready. And I would kind of prep him for that. And so we asked around the school campus, who would be interested in girls flag? Next thing you know, it was 40, 50 girls signed up for girls flag.
Nice.
And I know my daughter would love to play. Actually, we were just talking to one of the girls flag players after the scrimmage yesterday against Cabrillo and South Torrance. She said, how come Jazzy's not playing girls flag? I said, well, she's kind of got her plate full, but, maybe down the road. But girls flag is awesome.
Right.
It's awesome. I've had experience with it, and it's competitive. It's fun. Those girls really get after one another. And it's drama. It's a lot of drama, right? Last second field goals, last second touchdowns. And those girls are athletes, man. They got some real athletes out there. Girls who are fast and super agile and can make plays. So I've had my chance to kind of work with girls flag out in Arizona. Really enjoyed it, and definitely think girls flag has a great future.
Is there anything else that you think would be advantageous to bring for just the different athletes or the girls that want to play different sports? I know one thing, I've coached volleyball, and football and volleyball are at the same time, so there's some girls that want to play football, and I'm like, no, they're so good, I need them for volleyball. Is there anything that we could do to make it better for our athletes to, I guess, play all different sports or bring more people in? What can we do to get more involvement or get more people involved?
That's a good question. To get more students involved, is that your question? To get more students involved?
Yeah, yes.
I think just a myriad of sports, right? A variety of sports. I know the conversation is being had right now about rugby.
Okay.
Boys rugby, girls rugby. And I know, huge participants in the game of rugby are our Polynesian students. Mm-hmm. And so I'm a very big supporter of rugby. I actually like rugby. Think it's a great sport. Definitely think, that should be brought to Bellflower and to Bellflower Unified School District. So I just think just more options. The more the options, the better.
Right.
Right. Kids.
Do they have rugby in a lot of other different schools? Or is it something new that's coming,
Yeah. It's not a CIF sport.
Okay.
It's mainly a private sport,
Okay.
right? But I think it will become a CIF sport at some point. So I just try to always stay ahead of the curve. I just think more options for kids because, everybody's different.
Right.
Everybody's different. Actually, one of my Polynesian football players, his sister was sitting with me in the office waiting on her brother just yesterday, and she was telling me how she plays rugby and how she heard about it was gonna be a rugby team, and she's so excited, and it really warmed my heart because she has really nothing that she loves to be a part of yet. Right. So that's bothersome.
Besides sports, are you involved in any other clubs or anything like that on campus, or are you just pretty much focused? I know you obviously have a lot on your plate, but do you primarily focus on the PE and the sports aspect of it?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I would say I'm involved in band because my daughter's in band. So I'm a band member parent.
Right.
So I'm involved in band. I would say that I'm involved in college, early college academy because she's in it. And then,
Can you
but
tell
yeah.
me a little bit about that program? I've heard a lot about
Sure.
that. I know we do not have that at Mayfair right now. We have it at Bellflower, and I've heard such good things about this program. Can you explain more?
Well, before I explain more, since they don't have it at Mayfair, the kids should probably come to Bellflower to be a part of it, right? That's just my thought. But anyways, Early College Academy, something that I heard about when I first got there, and I thought would be great for my daughter. And what that is you're in dual enrollment. You're dual enrollment at Bellflower Middle and, not Bellflower Middle, Bellflower High School and Cerritos College.
Okay.
You take Cerritos College courses during your school day, as well as your full high school course load. But at the end of your high school journey, you're like 6 credits away from your AA degree.
Okay.
And I know my daughter, for her, she is a high-performing student. She wants to go to an Ivy League or Stanford. And when she applies there, she wants to let them know, hey, I've got my AA degree as I'm transferring in to be a softball player or whatever. And, I want to do my 2 years and then jump right into graduate school. So she's someone who wants to get it done fairly quickly because she wants to be a businesswoman. She wants to get started very quickly. And so we just thought it was a great program for her.
These are taken, they take these classes during the school day.
During
it's
the school
not
day.
something that's outside of
Nope,
school.
during the school day.
Okay, so it's integrated into our curriculum.
Yes.
Okay.
And I love that. I love the challenge of it. I love the discipline it's going to take. I love the time management it's going to take for her to get that done, along with the other things she's doing. I just think it really is a kind of a bridge to college.
Right.
Right. If you want to be a student athlete in college, you better be very disciplined about getting up in the morning, going to sleep at night. You better be super good at time management. So I'm just preparing her for what's to come. And I think this is a great opportunity for that. She's excited for the challenge, and she can't wait to start her classes here like next week. So,
I know that last year Bellflower went to the block schedule, and we hear community members in the other side of town in Mayfair. It's a new process, so there's a lot of chatter, there's a lot of talk. How did you feel with that transition, and how do you feel about block schedule now? Because it's supposed to be planned to give not just athletes. A lot of people think this is a schedule for athletes, but it's not. It's a way to regain credits. It's a way to take electives. It's a way to do things differently. How do you feel about that block schedule now that you've been through it for a year?
Well, before I came to Bellflower, I was at a school that did 2-hour blocks. So all I've really known is block schedules as a teacher.
Okay.
But I remember not having block schedules as a student. And I would tell you that as a student, I don't want block schedule. But as a teacher, I love block schedule.
Okay.
Because with everything going on now, you need the time, space, and opportunity to get your lesson out, collaboration to happen, dialogue to happen in your classroom, share outs, think pair shares, right? Whatever you're doing in your classroom, you need ample amount of time to get that done.
Right.
If you're doing something that's going to be efficient and successful and productive. And so I like block scheduling as a teacher. 2-hour blocks is a bit much because that's where I came from. I said, it's 2 hours. But I think an hour and 30 is just about right. And super excited for our PE department now that I've become the chair of that.
Nice. I've heard that. Yes, my school, we're going to block schedule, so I'm going to get an idea of what that is. But there's a lot of things that people don't understand too, not even just with, the classes and things like that. There's less transition. It's supposed to help, the culture and the school safety. So I'm actually looking forward to it. It's just something different, and I like that change. Sometimes it keeps you on top of your game.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that. What other programs are there any programs that you would like to see at our high school that we do not have as far as curriculum or classes? Or, you talk with a lot of students, the CTA pathways, I know those are very popular. Have you heard anything else that could be integrated in our school that kids really want?
Most of my conversations with students are about their personal home lives, what they do outside of school. We don't really talk much about what's going on in school. One thing I can tell you is what we've done with the football program is we've designated our captains to grab a group of our players every day and after snack to go out and pick up trash. And what I would like to see is kids take a little bit more ownership in keeping the campus clean and keeping the campus safe. Because kids are smart. I'll say that. Kids are smart. They know what's going on. They know what shouldn't be going on. They know what should be going on. And I just like to see them take a little bit more ownership. And I don't know what can be created in terms of programs in that aspect, but I know what we've done, and I'm super proud of that. I remember I used to take my basketball class. Last year, we used to walk around and pick up trash during our class time just because I was frustrated with how some people would leave the campus with trash on the floor. And just the other day, I was with my this year's basketball class, and we were walking over to a rally. And I said, wait, guys. I want you guys to see this. And I should have told somebody to pull out their phone and video it. But there was a carton of cereal on the ground with a carton of milk just on the ground. I walked up to it. I picked it up. I said, guys, you see that? I see something that's not supposed to be there. I pick it up and I throw it away.
Right.
And they said, that's a good example, Coach. That's a good example.
Absolutely.
We appreciate that. So just trying to be the change that I'd like to see and just trying to make the biggest impact that I can make while I'm here.
Right. Modeling the behavior is good. And I do love that about sports as well, because you do have leaders that people look up to and, sometimes, they might not even know people know who they are, but they do. So having that respect and doing those things, I think, is very important as well.
Sure.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Can we switch? Can I ask one more question? As far as students, as a board member, for me, I'm a new board member. How important is it for us to talk with students? Students have a lot to say. What can we do to work more with our students? I know we're adding student advisory committees. We have that in place. Is there anything that I could do as a board member to work more with students, or, I know listening, obviously, but.
I think anytime you can be more visible, I think is always a good thing. Because when visibility occurs, I think comfortability improves.
Right.
The more they're comfortable with you, the more they're really going to be willing to open up to you, right? And have maybe difficult conversations about, what they think and how they feel.
Absolutely.
So I would say just visibility, right? I think once the visibility continues to rise, kids will be more comfortable with seeing you and spending time with you.
Right. I'm definitely trying to do that. Go ahead, Brad.
So when it comes to the games and having people there, how does the program get butts in the seats? Like, is it mostly parents and other students? And if it is other students, what do you think creates student interest in their programs? I feel like that's a big part of culture, right? Being proud of your team.
Sure. We talk about it all the time. We call it Buck Pride, right? Having that Buck Pride, and that's something that I'm fully invested in. It's fully ingrained in my DNA as I'm here at Bellflower. I think, the people who are at the game, you have the parents. I think you have the student body, and you have friends. I think Mr. Lundgren, our principal, did a great job, especially in the championship game where he had every student get in for free and also provide them pregame meals of hamburgers and hot dogs for free before the game. Love Principal Lundgren, and he's been so supportive. He and our AD, Bryce Christensen, those guys are phenomenal and fantastic for us. But, what drives butts to get in the seats? Winning. Right? We spell fun, W-I-N. Right? Winning gets butts in the seats. St. John Bosco, I remember when they weren't very good, there was no Panish Family Stadium. There wasn't no, Fox Sports covering their games. They were just a middle-of-the-road school, right? But then, things happen. Next thing you know, they're this national power, and they can't stay off of TV. They can't stay out the newspaper, et cetera, et cetera. So winning. You got to go win. You got to put a great product on the field, and you got to be an entertaining product on the field. But I think winning trumps all. So we got to do a great job of continuing to raise the standard and the level not every year, but every week, every game, every practice, and we're on our way there. We're on our way there for sure. So I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, I think winning. The more you win, the more people gonna come. The more people that come, the more tickets you sell, the more food's being bought, the more money is being earned, and then the more exciting the atmosphere is, right? There was a number that was thrown out. It was 6,000 people at the championship game, 6,000 or 7,000 people. Well, that's great. Well, we want 10,000 this year. Mm-hmm. So looking forward to it. It's a challenge. I know it's 8,000 on the home side. I think 2,000 on the visitor side. So 10,000 total. And listen, I'm all about that. I've played in front of 70,000. I know what that energy feels like. I want that for my players to play in front of 10,000 in the biggest game of the year. In Bellflower School's history, I know we have some fantastic alumni, including a young lady named KD, who I'm aware of.
Plug for Karen.
So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Brad, I don't know that you know, but one of my friends, her name's Katie. She's an actress, and so that's what we're talking about. Because we talked about talking about things that we don't, so that was why. No.
I was name dropping.
He was name dropping.
Yeah.
But she played at Bellflower as well.
Yeah.
We also
Yes.
talked about, social media and your presence and how much that's changed.
Yes.
I love your person.
Yeah.
Talk about him and tell us how that has been an impact.
Sure. His name is Ryan Parker, and he goes by the name Official Juice. And he's our videographer, and he is amazing. The stories that he tells through his videos are inspiring. They're captivating. He totally understands the fabric and really the nuts and bolts of our program. He understands myself. He understands my brother. He understands the culture of our team. He gets the climate of our school. He understands the backgrounds of our players. And so he just really does a great job of capturing and encapsulating that and really telling a story through images and music. Mm-hmm. I mean, we talked about how music makes people feel. And so he's phenomenal. I don't know how much longer we're going to have him. I think some college program is probably going to scoop him up here shortly. That the docuseries would be great. I mean, I have a good friend who's in Hollywood, he's an executive producer and an actor, and I always tell him, whenever I take a coaching job, send a video cameraman, because if someone ever captured, 24/7, myself and my brother taking over a program and coaching a team, it would be an instant, big screen moneymaker. And because there's so much there. Just the raw emotion, the ferocity, the passion, the intellect, guys, throwing up, guys crying to the coach, parents coming yelling, coaches yelling at each other. I mean, there's so much drama, real life drama there. It's just really, really engaging, and we are always taking over inner city programs. So whatever's engaging is like times 10. There is. Back when I had my own podcast, I did a podcast series of our time at Compton High School, and it was called Compton Chronicles. And it was just a podcast, audio podcast, but man, 1 million people listened to it, and it was about our time at Compton High School, where Lamar Chapman, who was one of my favorite people of all time, who I still talk to this day. I was coaching him in 2004, 2005. And he walks up to me and says, "Hey, coach, can you hold this for me while I go practice?" And he gives me a pistol and probably about $1,500 in cash. He didn't want to leave it in his locker, right? He didn't want to leave it in his locker. So I had to put it in my car, my glove compartment in my car, right? And so it just... so many stories. My brother coached at Inglewood in 2000, where a kid was, shot during the season. Another kid after the season was shot, murdered. They were all gangsters on the team. I mean, it's crazy. Just start recording. Just do it. No, listen, I'm with you. And listen, we've been in that position for 20 years. And First person that comes to my mind is Dayton Jones, who we coached at Compton in 05, 06, 07. Kid never played football before, ever. He was a basketball player. He was about 6'1", right? About 160 pounds. Actually, he graduates high school at 6'4" and 230, 240. Then he goes on to be a first-round draft pick at the Green Bay Packers in 2013. And makes, $10 million in the league, He grew up on Manchester and San Pedro. I used to have to drop him off. You have to drop him off. He has to duck and run into his apartment building, right? So if somebody caught that on video, dude, you write your own ticket. So we have a couple kids on this Bellflower team. I think if you followed them around with a camera, you'd probably see some interesting stuff. A couple names come to mind. I'll keep that to myself right now. But yeah, I've always wanted to do that. No.
I think the community engagement piece is something that's really important for me as a board member, and I'm not speaking for Brad, but I know we've talked a lot about it, and that community engagement piece is something that we need to do and do better, and we're talking a lot about it. How do you believe, or what do you think that we could do to, obviously you have videos and things like that, and I guess I'm going to open this to Brad too, but what can we do to make our community engagement better?
I think anytime you want to get people engaged, it always comes back to those two things: music and food.
Right. So common interests, being visible, actually talking to people and listening.
You want community engagement? Have a block party.
Right.
Right. Have a cookout. Right. A block party cookout. You know what I mean? You want to get people engaged? Get them to come out by doing things that they like to do. Well, this is just how I think, right? A good friend of mine, his name is Jay. He's kind of like a big brother to me. He always says, when there's food and there's music, people are going to come out.
That's true.
They're going to come outside.
It's so true.
And I tend to believe that. And when I was in my younger days, I was known for throwing parties. And if you had food and you had music, guess what? Everybody came out. So that's my thought.
I agree. Brad, do you have more?
Maybe. Great job.
Thank you. I'm always very nervous. I was telling both of them I could play in front of 20,000 people, but I just get nervous. Like my hands were nervous. But now I'm not nervous because the conversation just flows, and you're an amazing person to have. And I'm just so happy. You're always just positive energy. I just love talking with you. So I don't know. You're the perfect guest.
Thank you so much, Amy. I enjoyed being here. Brad, thank you so much for having me.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. I've been bragging about you for so long, and I just think you guys are amazing, and I just appreciate it. I was Bellflower alumni. I'm sure everyone knows that, but I appreciate what you're bringing to the table. I appreciate what you're doing for our kids. I just think you and your brother are doing such great things for us. So we're so happy to have you in the district, and we're hoping that we can support as much as we can, and we're just really excited to have you, and we're excited for the season coming up.
Super excited. Listen, I can agree with one thing. I'm amazing. My brother, he's just okay.
I don't know about that. Maybe we should have had both of them on. I don't
No,
know.
you shouldn't, because no. Yeah, no. And he's kind of a big guy, so there's not enough room here for him. So
I'm calling him after this to tell him all this.
But it was a lot of fun. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and I am excited for the next one. Thank you.